So this is going to be a funny video. It's going to be funny and funny to me. Did you know that there was a DOGE before DOGE? We're going to go back in time. We're going to time travel to when there was a DOGE before DOGE. A DOGE, DOGE before DOGE. What am I talking about? What's going on here? Well, first of all, let's give it up for none other than former President Barack Obama. Barack Obama. Yes, there was a DOGE before DOGE. OMG, this is not AI. It's real. It's a must-watch. 2011, Obama announces a DOGE department and puts Joe Biden in charge of it.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody. Waste we should be getting rid of, even if we didn't have a deficit. Sure, some of these cuts aren't that big, but no amount of waste is acceptable. Not when it's your money. Not at a time when so many Americans are already cutting back. Just as families are living within their means, government should too. Did you know the federal government pays for a website devoted to a folk music ensemble made up of forest rangers? They're called the Fiddlin' Foresters. I'll put their music on my iPod, but I'm not paying for their website. And there are hundreds of similar sites that we should consolidate or just get rid of. By the way, you're not only paying for websites no one needs, you're paying for thousands of buildings all across the country no one uses. For the last decade, the government's owned a massive and completely empty warehouse in the middle of Brooklyn, for example. Now, the government hadn't been able to sell this building and others like it because of red tape and Washington politics that held things up for years. But we're finally cutting through all that and plan to get rid of these buildings in the months ahead. We need to step up our game. We need to go after every dime. We need to make government work for you. That's why, starting today, I've asked the Vice President to lead a renewed effort to hunt down misspent tax.
Give it up, everybody. You know him, you love him. The senile man himself, Joe Biden.
Dollars in every agency and department of this government. We're calling it the Campaign to Cut Waste. And I know Joe's the right man to lead.
Campaign to Cut Waste. CTW. The predecessor to DOGE.
Lead it. Because nobody messes with Joe.
There's a new standard by which the government is going to function from this point on. The American people are entitled to transparency. Look, a lot of this depends on new, sophisticated methods, but it also, we know, depends on relentless focus on making this a priority. Focus that can't be delegated. We're holding ourselves accountable, and we're deeply committed and focused on making government function better. We're not just eliminating fraud and waste. We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue. We're going to give you the government you expect and deserve.
You know what that means? That means, guess what, my lovelies? The government you deserve. The government is going to work for the corporations. And already now there's talk of the spending bill. You know, when you have people like Chucky Boy Schumer talking about this, because remember, here's the thing. What has Representative Thomas Massey said about this government bill? And for those asking, is that video really real? Oh, it is. It is. It's very real indeed. Here it is, the Campaign to Cut Waste. The Obama White House. It's got 1.7 million subscribers, 100K views 13 years ago. All right, and this was a real video from June 12th, 2011. Actual YouTube channel, actual YouTube video, timestamp and date. It's only under 100K views. Interesting. President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden speak about the administration's ongoing effort to make government more accountable to the American people through the Campaign to Cut Waste, the progenitor to DOGE. The Campaign to Cut Waste will build on the Accountable Government Initiative led by OMB Director Jacob Lew and OMB's Deputy Director and Management Federal Chief Performance Officer Jeffrey Zients, which has already tackled waste and inefficiency in many areas across government. But yet that waste is still being voted on. That waste is still being supported. Here's from Representative Thomas Massey. And I was right. It was all performative. Of course, Schumer was always going to go for the continuation of the Biden-Schumer-Johnson 2024 spending agenda for the first 9 months of Trump's presidency. So that means all that stuff that DOGE has, found is still going to be supported on. Here's Chucky Boy. Take it away.
Republican rejection leads us to a decision. And it's not really a decision. It's a Hobson's choice. Either proceed with the bill before us or risk Donald Trump throwing America into the chaos of a shutdown. This, in my view, is no choice at all. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. For sure, the Republican bill is a terrible option. It is not a clean CR. It is deeply partisan. It doesn't address far too many of this country's needs. But I believe allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option. And before I explain why, let me be clear about one thing. No one on my side of the aisle wants a government shutdown. Members who support this CR do not want a government shutdown. Members who oppose this CR do not want a government shutdown.
Let's talk about what also happens with DOGE, because there's a concern here. 60% of voters unhappy with DOGE handling of federal workers, according to a poll, because already there's a lot of concern for a lot of these workers. Okay, a majority of voters unhappy with Department of Government Efficiency handling of federal workers, according to a new poll. When asked about the way Elon Musk and DOGE are dealing with workers employed by the federal government, 60% of respondents in the Quinnipiac University poll of registered voters said that they are not supportive of it. 36% said they are supportive of the way Musk and DOGE are dealing with federal workers. Musk and DOGE have been trying to slash their way through the federal government, offering buyouts to and laying off scores of workers. Many of their actions are now the subject of lawsuits. The federal judge ruled Thursday that the Trump administration must reinstate probationary government employees fired unlawfully at several agencies: the Veteran Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Interior, and Treasury departments. Last week, the New York Times reported that Musk and Secretary of State Marco Rubio clashed in a recent cabinet meeting, with Musk going after Rubio for not firing a large portion of the workforce and at the State Department. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy also alleged during the same cabinet meeting, according to the Times, that DOGE staffers had tried to terminate air traffic controllers. A number of notable plane crashes in the last few months have resulted in increased conversations about the importance of air traffic controllers to aviation safety. The Quinnipiac poll also found 54% of respondents not backing the handling of the economy by Trump, with 41% supporting the president's economic policy so far. The Quinnipiac poll took place between March 6th and March 10th. It includes 1,198 registered voters and has a margin error of plus or minus 2.8 percentage points. So what can we take away from this? Well, first of all, that government waste is still going to be voted on. And there's been all these attempts in one form or another to halt government waste, to halt government spending. But they're still going to do it. They're still going to do the waste. They're still going to vote for this. Like, all of it's just being reallocated. All of it's just being twisted around and shared around. That's the truth of it all. That's what's going to happen. The money that's being wasted is still going to go somewhere else. Or either that, it's going to take a new form, a new shape. Is there accountability? I don't know, maybe. But everyone's shocked of, when DOGE was first making its great big reveal that there was unchecked corruption and bribery. Oh, everyone was shocked. But that's not the case anymore. The real case is this. You have this attempt to try and bring accountability. When you have people like Joe Biden being the face of accountability, I mean, if this was the predecessor to DOGE, nobody messes with Joe. Well, Joe was President Obama, and a lot of waste was happening under his watch.
Today, I've asked the Vice President to lead a renewed effort to hunt down misspent tax dollars in every agency and department of this government. We're calling it the Campaign to Cut Waste. And I know Joe's the right man to lead it because nobody messes with Joe.
Yeah, he was just an easy puppet, though.
There's a new standard by which the government is going to function from this point on. The American people are entitled to transparency. Look, a lot of this depends on new, sophisticated methods, but it also, we know, depends on relentless focus on making this a priority. Focus that can't be delegated. We're holding ourselves accountable, and we're deeply committed and focused on making government function better. We're not just eliminating fraud and waste. We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue. We're going to give you the government you expect and deserve.
And we're still dealing with it many years later. It's now what, 2025? The Obama administration that came out in 2011. So let's see. That is a whopping 14 years later. Obama, Trump, Biden, now Trump again. The government we deserve is unfortunately a system that doesn't represent us. All this waste. Where's all this money going to go to? Already there's concern for many of these federal workers. Again, I look at them as people who are, again, caught in the middle of a situation that is understandably out of their control. But what's going to be done about real accountability? Because Representative Thomas Macy is saying, like, no, this bill that's going to be voted on in Congress, that's going to be supported, and now you have people in the Senate supporting it too, are saying, no, this is going to add more waste, like nothing's being done. The warning is being made. But the sad fact is there was always this DOGE or DOGE-like organizations. It's just, if that thing couldn't do it, will DOGE be able to do it? And not if this CR bill happens, which looks like it's going to happen. And Thomas Massey was one of the few people saying, hey, this is bad news. We'll see how this all plays out. But if you're expecting waste to stop, no. The only way you're going to stop any waste is by flushing the toilet.